Ella, a model, is currently working on a commercial for a pharmaceutical company named Ethera. The company operates out of Africa and has gained enormous power. They've developed a drug called AI Remedy, which allows people to breathe without a mask for up to 6 hours. After that, users must either take another dose or return to using a mask. The drug is widely advertised, but the reality is more sinister. It's only available to a privileged few. Meanwhile, a man named Solomon, who works for a shadowy figure known only as Lazarus, suspects Ethera's plan is far from noble. Fearing the drug will only reach the elite, leaving the rest exposed to toxic air, he and his team are developing an alternative serum. Solomon is cautious. He believes improper use of the new formula could damage the immune system, but the urgency continues to grow. A news report announces that 68% of the world already lives in high-risk zones, with projections showing that number will rise to 83% in just over a year. Solomon's ally, Spider, warns that Ethera might try to shut them down. She shows him a different product sold by Ethera called Blue, and suggests they color their own serum the same way. If caught, it might help them pass as Ethera dealers and avoid suspicion. Back on Ella's side, she gets ready for her photo shoot in her dressing room. Afterwards, she heads to the set and finishes the shoot. When she steps into a restroom, she calls her boyfriend Tully to make plans for the evening and invite him to a party. He turns her down, saying he has other things to handle. As she ends the call, she overhears some models gossiping cruelly about her and her mother. The comments strike a nerve, but she ignores them and snaps a picture of herself instead. Somewhere else, Tully and Ella's best friend Gina sits in a car. Unbeknownst to Ella, the two are involved with each other. Tully is cheating on Ella with Gina, and he wants to tell her. He tells Gina he's considered confessing everything, but Gina stops him. She reminds him it's the anniversary of Ella's mother's death, and breaking the news now would be cruel. Meanwhile, Ella encounters a disturbing moment at her studio. She sees a young woman from the workshop bleeding from the nose, clearly unwell and without access to the remedy. Instinctively, Ella checks the pendant around her neck. It contains a tablet of AI Remedy. Back in the city, Tully pulls into a sketchy part of town to get party drugs, while Gina stays behind in the car, scrolling through her phone. Meanwhile, Ella stands in a train station trying to call Tully. He was supposed to give her a ride, but has ditched her. Frustrated, she called Gina to let her know she'll be taking the train instead. Gina tries to lighten the mood by inviting her to a party later, but Ella isn't interested. As Ella waits on the station platform, she overhears a homeless man preaching to no one in particular. He claims the poisoned air is a punishment from above, a consequence of humanity's abuse of the earth. Back in the dealer's hideout, Tully arrives unannounced. The man clearly isn't expecting company. His location is supposed to be private. But Tully has used a tracking app to find him anyway. As they argue about this, Gina enters and asks if she can use the bathroom. While the dealer prepares his order, Tully notices a television playing nearby. On screen, Eric, the lead scientist at Ethera, is answering live questions during an interview. The dealer notices that Gina has been in the bathroom for a while and mentions it to Tully. Concerned, Tully gets up to check on her. Back on the TV, the interview continues with typical calls, full of praise and curiosity about the company's AI remedy. But then, a distorted voice cuts through the feed. The caller introduces himself as Lazarus and begins asking pointed questions about the drug supply chain. He hints that Ethera has depleted a key resource and won't be able to produce enough remedy for the world. While everyone in the room is distracted by the broadcast, Tully wanders deeper into the house. He finds a locked-off area where Solomon and Spider are quietly working in a makeshift lab. They're experimenting with a new formula, this one bright blue in color. Tully watches as Solomon tests a single drop, his body relaxing almost instantly. Assuming it's some powerful new stimulant, Tully decides he wants it for himself. In the house, Spider stores the formula in the fridge, and Tully sneaks back in, swipes a vial, and returns to the front room just in time to receive his original package. Gina also comes out of the bathroom at that moment, and the two leave without raising suspicion, acting like nothing happened. Meanwhile, Eric exits the TV studio and gets an urgent call. On the line is the CEO of Ethera, his father. The board of directors is growing impatient. Rumors and conspiracies about AI Remedy are spreading fast, damaging Ethera's image. Eric is under intense pressure, either fix the situation or risk being replaced. Back with Tully and Gina, someone is keeping tabs. A watcher monitoring Solomon's lab takes note of Tully's actions and of Gina waiting outside. Meanwhile, Eric returns to the lab. His assistant greets him, and he immediately tells her to trace the IP address of the Lazarus caller. Ella arrives home and begins to change her clothes, but she gets distracted by a magazine featuring a photo of her and her mother. As she sits there lost in thought, her father calls and gently advises her to go out instead of staying alone in the house. Still emotionally drained from the day, Ella makes a spontaneous decision to attend the party she had previously declined. She arrives at Tully's place only to walk in on Tully and Gina caught in an intimate moment. Devastated, Ella storms in, confronts them, and in a moment of heartbreak and fury, grabs the blue vial and drinks the entire contents, mistaking it for a standard Aethera dose. Trying to shake off what just happened, she joins the crowd and ends up dancing with Tully's friend Brian, who makes a few clumsy, flirtatious attempts. At the same time, Eric returns to his private lab and begins an experiment on a rat. Back at the party, Ella's body starts reacting badly to the serum. She rushes to the bathroom where Brian tries to help, but she pushes him away after throwing up on him. At the same time, Eric's experiment fails. Everything around him seems to be falling apart. As he tries to collect himself, his assistant, Angela, enters and tells him that Lazarus is using a proxy, but she's managed to trace the coordinates. Eric tells her it's late and that she should go home. Meanwhile, Ella regains consciousness after blacking out. Something is wrong. Her body feels unstable, like it's overheating from the inside. She stumbles into the bathroom, trembling, and collapses into the tub, desperately trying to cool down. Strange changes begin to take hold, hinting at something unnatural stirring within her. In the lab, Eric receives a call from his son Max, who wants to meet him. The call comes through Eric's personal security line, but before Eric can respond, his ex-wife Nicole arrives. She informs him that she's taking Max to her mother's place. Eric panics. Her mother lives deep inside the red zone, and Max, being fragile, is at serious risk. Nicole brushes off his concerns and abruptly hangs up. At the party, Tully is caught by Solomon, Spider, and their team. They've discovered he's the one who stole the experimental serum, and they're furious. They drag him into the bathroom and rough him up, demanding the serum back. Ella, still hiding in the bathtub, sinks lower beneath the water. Tully insists he has no idea where the vial went, that he lost it somewhere in the house. But Solomon is clear. The serum can't fall into the wrong hands. Spider warns that he has no idea what kind of danger he's unleashed. Once they leave, Ella slowly emerges from the water. She confronts Tully and asks about the serum she drank. Realizing what's happened, Tully panics and calls out to the others. But Ella has already disappeared. When they return and realize she's gone, the tension escalates. Tully tries to defend himself and grabs one of their weapons, but during the struggle, he's shot in the leg. Solomon orders everyone to spread out and search for Ella. He suspects the serum may have triggered a fever or something worse. Spider instructs the team to move quickly before the authorities arrive. As the group scatters, Tully begins to regain focus. But what he sees next shocks him. Ella is clinging to the ceiling. She drops to the floor effortlessly. Stunned, Tully asks how she even got up there. Ella, still shaken and confused, demands answers. She needs to know what she took. Trying to escape, Ella heads for the door. In frustration, she punches it, and the entire frame shatters. She stares at her hands, shocked. She steps outside, but suddenly changes her mind about leaving Tully behind. Turning back, she smashes through a ceiling window and pulls Tully out onto the roof. But Solomon and Spider aren't far behind. As they flee, Tully begins to slip. Ella reaches for him. He's saved by the contact, but something odd happens. She doesn't actually catch him. Instead, the moment her hand touches his arm, he clings to her unnaturally, like their skin has fused together for a second. Down below, Gina watches the scene unfold. From her angle, it looks like Ella pushes Tully off the edge. They try to keep moving across the rooftop, but Tully loses his balance again. This time, he falls for real. Solomon catches up shortly after. Before he can stop Ella, he offers to help, but Ella leaps off the rooftop and lands without a scratch. Gina rushes over, panicked. She still believes Ella killed Tully on purpose, but more people are closing in, and Ella doesn't have time to explain. She flees the scene. While running, she crosses paths with Brian, but before she can speak, the effects of the serum seem to catch up to her. She collapses. Brian, unaware of what's happening, assumes she just passed out and carries her back to his place. The next morning, Gina reports Ella to the authorities. Word spreads fast, and an informant passes the intel to Eric. Back at Brian's house, things take a dark turn. Brian tries to take advantage of her while she's unconscious, but Ella suddenly wakes up and shoves him off in terror. His face is slashed the moment her elbow connects. A sharp claw has emerged from beneath her skin. Ella stands frozen, terrified of what her body has become. The strange growth on her arm, the claw, has fully emerged. Horrified, she slices it off. Still disoriented and shaken by the changes in her body, she rushes to a hospital, desperate for help. But the emergency room is already overwhelmed with patients from the red zone. When she pleads for immediate attention, the doctor tells her to wait like everyone else. In a moment of panic, Ella pulls off her mask, and black veins spread across her skin like cracks in glass. The doctor, assuming she's infected, quickly orders her to be quarantined. That's when Ella bolts. A security guard chases after her. To escape, she slips into a nearby ward and hides inside a room where a young girl lies alone. As footsteps approach, Ella looks at her hands. Tentacle-like appendages have sprouted again. She scales the wall and clings to the ceiling, staying completely still until the guard leaves. When she drops down, ready to leave, the little girl looks up at her and asks if she's there to take her to God. The doctors have told the girl she doesn't have much time left. Ella takes the AI remedy capsule from the pendant her mother gave her and hands it to the child, telling her she'll be okay now. Elsewhere, Eric meets with the police commissioner. The commissioner shows him a recording of Brian describing the horrifying moment when Ella attacked him. Eric realizes she has become a real threat. Later, Ella goes to Gina's house, hoping to explain everything, but when Gina sees her, she panics and tries to flee. Ella follows, begging her to listen. She explains what really happened with Tully. Inside the house, Ella feels it. Her body is changing again. The transformation is accelerating. Her physical strength keeps increasing. Her facial features begin to shift. Her temper flares uncontrollably. Her skin cracks, claws extend, and even her nails begin to fall off. She's no longer just herself. Something new is taking over. Suddenly, hunger strikes her hard. But Gina fires back. She claims Ella has always had everything handed to her while she was left with nothing. She accuses Ella of always being the center of attention, someone who unknowingly hurts others with her privilege. Just then, Ella's phone rings. It's Solomon, calling from Tully's number. He asks to meet in private, but Ella insists they meet in public. After that, Ella starts eating raw meat straight from the fridge. She turns to Gina and tells her she wants nothing more to do with her. Gina silently returns the futuristic headphones Ella once gave her. Meanwhile, Eric has a tense conversation with his father. The synthetic version of AI Remedy they're trying to develop continues to fail, and the company faces massive losses if they can't deliver, but his father insists they push forward with testing. There's no other option. At the same time, Ella goes to meet Solomon, hoping he can help her understand what's happening to her. But instead of helping, he kidnaps her. Gina, suspicious, follows the car and tracks them to Solomon's house. Solomon traps Ella inside, tying her down to prevent escape. But Ella is no longer someone who can be held easily. She uses the sharp claws growing from her arms to slice through the restraints and breaks free. Driven by hunger, she stumbles into the kitchen and devours whatever raw meat she can find. When Solomon and Spider return, Ella grabs a knife. As Spider tries to approach her, Ella suddenly spits something at her. Acid. At that moment, police burst into the house, sent by Eric. Solomon yells for Spider to escape with the remaining serum while he tries to hold them off. But it's too late. Officers arrest both Solomon and Ella, accusing her of Tully's death and the attack on Brian. Solomon is taken in as her accomplice. What Ella doesn't know is that the arrest is part of a larger deal. Eric has bribed the police commissioner with AI Remedy in exchange for their capture. In the holding cell, Ella notices even more changes. Her ears are no longer human, they're reshaping into something else. Solomon finally opens up. He tells Ella he once worked for Aethera, but after discovering the truth behind AI Remedy, he left. In secret, he began developing a new serum based on the original formula, something he believed could genuinely help people. He explains that the real danger isn't her mutation, it's the remedy itself. He believes his version could create natural immunity to the toxic air without relying on synthetic chemicals. Shortly after, Eric arrives at the jail. He tells Ella he can cure her and offers to help. Desperate and confused, Ella agrees. He leads her out of the cell and takes her with him. Eric brings Ella to his lab, promising that all he needs are a few tests. He even claims he tried to contact her father for support, but hasn't been able to reach him. Ella allows the tests to begin, but while Eric reviews the data with his team, he makes a shocking discovery. Something inside the serum has fundamentally changed her biology. For now, he keeps the information to himself. Later, Eric visits Solomon, who is now imprisoned in a basement under the lab. He offers him a deal, share the formula, and he'll be made a partner. Refuse and he'll rot under a mountain of criminal charges. Solomon doesn't hesitate, he turns the deal down. He knows Eric has no intention of sharing the remedy with the world. The wealthy shareholders want it reserved for their families. Eric returns to Ella and finds her awake. He tells her she's now immune to the toxin and claims he wants to help her. In exchange, he asks to use her DNA as the basis for a cure. Ella, uncertain but hopeful, agrees and signs the paperwork. Later, Eric informs his father that he has a new plan, to extract the evolved serum directly from Ella's body. That's when the full truth comes out. The serum Solomon created doesn't just fight toxins, it rewrites human biology, allowing people to survive in the poisoned atmosphere. It's not just a cure, it's the next step in human evolution. But Ella's altered body has given her heightened senses. She overhears Eric's private conversation. Fueled by instinct and betrayal, she lashes out, screaming and confronting Eric through the lab glass. Eric, anticipating such a reaction, activates a release of knockout gas. Ella si desploma. At the same time, Spider drives to the facility, posing as a delivery person. Back in the lab, when staff enter to check on Ella, she springs into action. She takes them down effortlessly and demands to know where Solomon is being held. One of them cracks under pressure and gives her the location. Ella no pierde tiempo, se va inmediatamente. Elsewhere, Eric has just picked up his son Max. As they reunite, one of his staff rushes over and informs him that Ella has escaped. As Ella moves through the facility's halls, she hears footsteps approaching. Without hesitation, she scales the wall and clings to the ceiling. When a guard passes beneath her, she drops down, spits acidic saliva onto his face, and knocks him out before continuing. Eventually, she finds Solomon's cell and frees him. Desperate, she confronts him, demanding he help stabilize her condition. Solomon explains that her transformation is a side effect, but one he believes he can manage. Meanwhile, Eric hands Max over to his assistant, Angela, and rushes back to the lab. Ella and Solomon make their way to the research room. There, Solomon finally reveals the truth behind the original AI remedy. Its key ingredient wasn't synthetic. It came from a rare species of dragonfly found only in a remote region of Africa. Aethera had overharvested them to the point of extinction. Without them, production collapsed. But now, the mutation inside Ella's body offers a new path forward, one that doesn't depend on destroying nature. As they prepare to escape, they run into Spider. At the same time, gas begins to flood the corridor. They run, ducking into a nearby bathroom, only to find Max hiding there. His eyes widen when he sees Ella's altered appearance, but instead of fear, he smiles and calls her a fairy. Ella, touched, smiles back and helps him up. He hands her the locket she lost, something he unknowingly took from Eric's office. Now with Max in tow, the group races through the corridors toward the exit. But just as they near the doors, Eric appears and blocks their way. Thinking quickly, Ella uses Max as a distraction to slip past. When Eric raises his gun, ready to fire, she throws herself in front and launches upward, landing with Solomon and Spider on the floor above. The three of them reach the parking area and jump into a car. Eric's men open fire, but under strict orders not to harm Ella, they aim for the tires. The vehicle flips violently. When the guards rush to the crash site, they find only Spider inside. Ella and Solomon have already escaped on foot, slipping through a side route. They reach a perimeter fence. Without hesitation, Ella extends her claw and slices through it effortlessly. Solomon stands back, watching her in awe. Meanwhile, one guard stays behind to detain Spider, but she fakes a seizure, takes him out cold, and vanishes into the shadows. Ella and Solomon reached a bridge overlooking a deep river below. Solomon turned to Ella and told her it was time for them to part ways. He explained that she needed to keep moving. She had to find Lazarus, the only person who could safely create the new version of the serum. He admitted something else too. He had tested the early formula on himself, but lacked the courage to take it further. The changes in his body were already proving too much. Unlike Ella, he hadn't adapted. Ella was different. Against all odds, her body had survived the mutation. She had become something more, something immune, and that meant her survival wasn't just about staying alive, it was about carrying hope for the rest of humanity. Solomon insisted she leave him behind. He had already served his role, and with soldiers closing in, he knew he wouldn't last long. Ella dove off the bridge and disappeared into the water below. Moments later, the guards found Solomon. He didn't resist. Not long after, a video Solomon and Spider had recorded was broadcast globally. It exposed everything: Ethera's greed, the endangered species used to manufacture AI remedy, and the development of a new natural serum. The footage went viral, sending shockwaves across the world. In the video, it was revealed that Lazarus would take over the serum's production. Somewhere far from the chaos, Ella emerged from the darkness, transformed. Her body had finished evolving. Sleek wings stretched from her back. Her eyes reflected light like a dragonfly's. She was something new. Finally, Ella tracked down the one person Solomon told her to find, Lazarus. And to her surprise, it was Angela, Eric's assistant. They smiled at each other, ready to change the future. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.